Today is a great day indeed, because I get to play Civilization VII and I get to talk about it. Now, Civilization VII is all about layers, it's all about creating stories, and it's all about the interesting interactions that happen between different civilizations. In order to best showcase this, I've elected to play as Isabella. I'm Orbital Potato, and I've partnered with 2K and Richest to bring you my Civilization VII story in the Founders Edition. Now, hopefully, we're going to be taking our leader from a single city up to a massive trading empire, and hopefully making a lot of money along the way. So, Isabella is a very interesting character indeed. She is entirely motivated around money. It's all about the bonus for her. I'm also going to be playing as Axum. Now, in Civilization VII, you play as the leader, but you get to pick your civilization. And I was interested in Axum for one very specific reason. It was because you get additional gold for all of the resources that you are able to farm. Getting an early city established here was pretty important, not really for any sort of particular reason, but I was in a fairly decent space. I didn't think that we needed to move around, and therefore, boom, we've got our first city. Now, something that I'm going to be focusing on over the course of this video, this episode, is my economic development tree. The leaders in this game now have attributes, and these attributes are things that stick with you over the course of the game. So if you're able to level up your leader, then you're able to get some pretty sick bonuses that will stick with you throughout the majority of the game. Something that was really important for me was getting some early scouting operations up and running, because I was able to, get a few extra pennies by finding those natural wonders. That is one of Isabella's abilities. Meeting my first compatriot in this game, this is Charlemagne. Charlemagne, the leader of the Greek civilization, which is quite interesting. Now, I, of course, am a trading forward individual, and therefore I'm thinking throughout this entire time how I can try and be friendly with people. I'm not necessarily saying that, my only option is to be friendly, but definitely choosing to be friendly is what I would like to do. We're coming across a city-state here, and city-states are super important to my whole big money-making scheme. And speaking of big money-making scheme, gold. Gold is very important. The way that resources work is that gold will specifically give you a bonus for purchasing buildings, or 20% gold towards purchasing buildings, which means that it's super valuable if you are going to be a gold-rich economy, because you can just throw more and more gold at all of your problems, including building a whole bunch of buildings. Speaking of problems, we've got two new civilizations joining us. We've got Lafayette and we've got Amina, both of which I want to be friendly with, but, I'm not afraid necessarily of getting my hands dirty. But I really do want to be friends with as many city-states as possible, and I want to always try and be friends with the economically minded one. That is that little yellow indicator in the top right-hand corner of the city-state, indicating that they're an economic city-state. A little bit of a cheeky settle over here. This is going to become a reoccurring problem, but for now, let's focus on the founding of this city. My city up in the north here is founded primarily to get access to all of these juicy elephants, which bring with them their own benefits, but I'm not really necessarily interested in the benefits of having elephants. I'm interested in the fact that they will give me 2 coins apiece just for working those tiles, thanks to the fact that I get +2 gold for my civilization skill, which is pretty darn cool. Now, Charlemagne did settle that city next to me, and unfortunately, he does have to pay. But if I was to declare a surprise war on him, then he would immediately get a whole bunch of influence, and he would gain a whole bunch of, or I would gain a whole bunch of war weariness, and I don't really want that. So instead, I have to denounce him, and we have to do things the proper way, which I can assure you was not my intention coming into this game. Now, what I would advise you to do throughout the course of this playthrough is keep an eye on the figure up in the top left-hand corner. I say as I zoom into the top right-hand corner and talk about Charlemagne and how we're about to declare war on him. But keep a general eye on the amount of money that is coming in each and every turn, because it's a general indication of how well things are going, and things do get rather silly. Either way, Charlemagne has got these hoplite warriors, which are a little bit problematic for me to get through, but truth be told, I have plenty of cash in reserves, and I can actually spam down a couple of slingers and just start pelting his city, and then as soon as it is low enough and I've destroyed the unit that is residing in the city, we can just wander in and take it for ourselves, a free city, which is quite nice. You do need to be a little bit careful about the number of cities that you settle. There's a settlement limit up at the top of the screen. As you can see at the moment, I have got 3 cities settled out of 3. And if you settle more, or if you have more than 3 cities at any one time without increasing your settlement limit, bad things can start to happen. The happiness of your kingdom can fall off dramatically. So it always pays to be careful. So I can afford to, take a 4th city for a, short period of time. And truth be told, it's not in a great location. It's only got a single resource, but what can I say? It's good enough, and we'll sort of sink the happiness penalty, at least for the foreseeable future. Nabbing my first Caesarian status here, very important little sort of note. I probably should have taken gemstones, but instead I take freeholders, which gives me 5% increase to the total amount of gold that I make. It's still pretty darn good. I do pick up gemstones, I think, at a later moment from another city-state, but either way, it's pretty darned great, which is not too bad. Picking up a codex, which is going to be quite handy for a little bit of extra science, and we can start to hopefully proceed down the economic victory condition tree. The way that sort of economics and victories and ages all sort of tie together is quite cool, actually. And as I've played with Isabella, I've really got to sort of try and get to grips with the legacy path, the Silk Road's legacy path, which is specifically the economic tree. Now, there's a whole bunch of other sort of things that I will do over the course of this run, such as building wonders, which go towards other legacy paths, but I'm primarily focused, I'm driven towards that sweet moolah, that economic legacy path, which is so interesting. And the objective for the legacy path here is to slot 14 resources, and in fact the number of resources that you have to slot changes from 7 to 14 as things progress. But the point is that I need to try and slot as many resources, whether they are traded from another civilization or whether I produce them. I want to slot them into the city slots, which is an ambition. Now, the weirdest sort of thing just happened there. After I took Charlemagne's city, he actually got absolutely yeeted by a city-state, which is somewhat remarkable. And I am surprised that it even happened. However, I thought, you know what, I will try and get my revenge on Segunia, I think it is, down in the south. So I thought, you know what, I'll do my little bit, and I'll try and conquer them at the same time as building a few wonders. Now, already we're getting towards the end of the first age, and at the end of the first age, we're at about 70% of age progress, as you can see up in the top left-hand corner. The crisis is going to start. Now, the crisis at the end of this age, well, I guess we'll just have to see exactly what it is, but the crisis at the end of this age is all about independent city-states. So effectively, if you think back to previous civilization games, you kind of had barbarians. This is kind of the barbarian event, or it's the barbarian crisis for the first stage. It is a option for a crisis at the end of the first age, and I take a negative penalty at my choosing there, which is not a huge challenge, but it is a little annoyance nonetheless. And to be honest, if I wasn't so sort of financially minded, it might be a greater problem. But hey-ho. Either way, back to slotting in resources, and this is where I want to talk about the most powerful resource in the game, and that is the camel. You might have missed it, but effectively, my capital city went from being able to hold about 6 resources all the way up to 8, or whatever it was. It's a huge number. So each camel actually adds 2 additional slots for extra resources, which is just so unbelievably powerful. And in fact, it's something that I'm going to be coming back to time and time again over the course of this video, because it is just so darned good. Anyway, we'll talk about resources in a little bit. For now, it's very much a case of finishing up these city-states, trying to disperse them. That's kind of like capturing the barbarian camps, if you're looking for a sort of point of view from previous Civilization games. There we go, just dispersed it, 100 culture, so we get a nice little cheeky reward for getting that, which is quite nice indeed. These little sort of city-state things pop up from time to time throughout the course of the crisis at the end of the era, but by and large we managed to keep them at bay, and they never spawned in a sort of location that I thought was too troublesome for me. I've got quite a nice little sort of grouping of cities that quite nicely sort of protect my interests in a pretty decent way. All in all, I think my cities on this continent maybe left a little to be desired. I'll talk about that when the next era hits, or the next age hits. But yeah, with the exception of my capital city, I'm not sure that I necessarily like any of my other cities. But that's kind of by the by. Another quick little dispersal. In fact, I think 2 quick little dispersals in quick succession make for a nice little reward for doing a whole bunch of cleanup. But yeah, when the crisis comes, you know that the era is ending. I'm currently on 6 out of 4 settled cities, which is a little bit dangerous, but you know, we can tolerate it. Pop down the Colossus there in order to start building another wonder. The more wonders you can get, obviously, the better. They are always great to build. Well, not always, but most of the time they're absolutely great to build, and I really, really rate them. Something else I really rate is the new changes to the army mechanics. So instead of individual units leveling up, that doesn't happen anymore. Instead, as you can see, the experience is going straight to the general. The general has a 1 sort of hex area of effect, and you need to make sure that they are in range in order to gather all of the experience when your troops are bombarding the enemy or you're taking damage, and they can give you some pretty sick bonuses in addition to being able to load up all of the troops and march across from one side of the map to another. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later on, but we can marvel at the Colossus being built in quite a lovely little alcove of my capital, which is quite a nice place for it, if I do indeed say so myself. Another economic attribute point. There we go. That's another point that is going to stick with us throughout the course of the game. Boom, we slot in yet another resource. We complete a milestone along the Silk Road's legacy path, and I'm absolutely flying. Picking an economic-minded sort of civilization is absolutely amazing when it comes to completing the economic legacy path. Who would have thunk it, eh? Either way, I am the big economic legacy boy, and that will allow me to transition quite nicely into the next era, playing as Spain, which I think was the civilization that Isabella was meant to play. I say meant to play in the very loosest sense. She is Spanish. I mean, she's Spanish. Either way, Spain is a little bit more sort of exploration-oriented, as you'd expect for a for a civilization of the exploration age. But this is where we are going to really be able to put Isabella's capabilities and Spain's capabilities together in order to, again, sort of try and absolutely smash that legacy path, which is pretty cool. At the end of the age, you get to choose a bunch of sort of legacy bonuses. These are sort of the points that you gain from completing all of those legacy paths. As you can see, I'm just sort of selecting a few which we can, either add to our tech tree through the economic attribute point system. There's also a few other sort of things at the bottom there, like change the capital. We can upgrade a town to a city. And rename it Madrid, which would obviously be the Spanish capital. I elect not to do this. In hindsight, I think maybe I probably should have, just as a sort of fun thing to do. I quite like the idea of Madrid being a sort of city in the middle of nowhere, not doing very much. But alas, I kept my capital the same as we moved forward. Now, yeah, this economic tech tree is really, really good. It's so powerful, and there is that thing that I'm hovering over there, Legend Unlock, the plus 25% gold from trade and treasure fleets. That is going to become a big feature of what we are going to be doing throughout this age. We're primarily going to try and get our hands on rare resources and treasure. And boy, oh boy, I would say we probably go about... we probably conduct every single scheme in the book in order to get our hands on some pilfered treasure. But either way, on our home continent, we settle a brand new city, ostensibly for additional resources, because I want to stack them up in the capital and make the capital as big and as juicy as possible with the help of those camels. But in the meantime, we are also taking to the seas, as Spain probably should, exploring the oceans and seeing what the heck is out there. I think we'll see it in just a second. There's some new city-states on the map as well. Venice, obviously, economic-oriented one, really want to be friendly with. But yeah, this is the new continent. There is a sort of little island archipelago between us, and then it is straight on over to this other continent where Machiavelli is, and we will come to terms quite closely with Machiavelli over the course of time, which is quite nice. Now, there was also a little mechanic there which kind of passed by a little bit quickly, but is kind of key to my economic success over the course of this Civilization 7 run, and that is the celebration mechanic. When you accrue enough happiness, you are able to select one of two rewards, and in this case, one of our rewards is plus 20% gold. So that is absolutely amazing. We have got another civilization to contend with. Yeah, what can I say? We got to deal with it, and we will indeed deal with her in due course. But another city-state, very, very nice, good to spot. Now, the resources that we are looking for are as follows. I think... maybe not exclusively, but we are looking for spices, we are looking for silver, we are looking for gold, we are looking for sugar, and we are looking for chocolate. We also have an objective, as you can see in the top left-hand corner, to create a settlement on a distant land and build a fishing quay, which is why I'm building this city and this fishing quay. This will capture a few of those exotic resources that I'm so desperately after, even if it is, quite close by, quite close to home. There are maybe plans afoot for doing some more sort of exploration, scouting, and settling on this continent, as we will see in just a bit. But certainly, getting that initial settlement in distant lands is good. We become Caesarian of Venice, and we nab ourselves some cloves, which we are going to add to the main city. Again, stacking up those sickeningly large bonuses. And the good thing about cloves is that it gives us a percentage gold bonus, which is so darned sick as well. This is the moment where I realize that I might be under attack from my northern neighbor. But fortunately, I don't think she decides to. And this is the moment where I realize that that would be an amazing place for a city right between that gold and silver deposit, which, foreshadowing, might just end up happening. Two wonders in quick succession here. We've got Uluru, and then we have... boom! Mount Kilimanjaro. Two big mountain rock things in quick succession, which is good because we get a little bit of extra cash for coming across these, because that is Isabella's trait to do so, which is quite nice. Civics. Man, I really like the way that civics work in this game. There are effectively 3 trees for civics. Social policies still unlocked as part of the civic tree, but you can actually see here exactly where they are attributed to. So there are Spanish civics, which are really powerful, and for example, the +2 gold to resources there, that just gave us like an extra 120 gold, so really huge potential to make a big impact right there. Either way, we settle our first city properly in the new land, in the new world even, and we're able to just build as many buildings as we need to in order to fully expand the boundaries, in order to capture all of those juicy, juicy resources that I am after. And in fact, we get a narrative choice, which will allow me to spawn a treasure fleet before I even technically have the capability to spawn the treasure fleet. We'll talk about the treasure fleet in due course, but for now, Cordoba is looking mighty fine and mighty big. Become the Caesarian of another city-state over here. Tondo, brilliant. Take another percentage-based gold bonus, which is very nice. Throw in an additional policy over here. What are we going to throw in? A culture policy. To be fair, I am making 800 gold a turn now, so that is amazing. But more trade routes throughout, the more the merrier. It's brilliant. This is the old camel switcheroo. We take a resource out, we stick a camel in, and then we just add more and more resources into our capital city. And at the end of the game, here's another trade route just about to happen. At the end of the game, I think we have some absolutely obscene number of resources just chilling in our capital city. We quickly found a religion. We're not really focusing on religion. It's not a big deal, but there's a little snapshot of how we are doing relative to everyone else. We have got an absolutely obscene amount of gold per turn at over 1,000. And we are now starting to get some treasure fleets coming from our distant lands, coming back to our home waters, which is great. What treasure fleets are, effectively... Oh, look at that, more camels. Treasure fleets are effectively little shipments of gold. They're ships that spawn in your cities or in your city-states that have those specific New World resources that I was talking about. You know, there it is. That's the perfect example. 7 turns left for the treasure fleet, and based on how many of those sort of key resources are within the boundaries of your cities or your city-states, you will get that number of treasure fleet points, and the treasure fleet points are what is building towards the legacy path. Now, throughout this time, Catherine the Great, leader of the Incan civilization, up in the north, I've decided that I really, really want that city. I think was it Chickasaw? I think that's it. Either way, I'm absolutely desperate for it because it has got all of those juicy, juicy New World resources that I am after. However, I also really wanted to sort of show off the naval mechanics, packing all of those boats into one sort of fleet, moving them down to the south, and, well, invading that city, as we will see in just a second. But the whole point of the war, really, was because I wanted Chickasaw. It's got so many good resources. I mean, you can see it's got sugar, it's got gold, it's got, what's that, marble, I think it is. It's got a lot, and it's pretty much, I mean, right next door to me, and it will allow me to sort of progress the other legacy paths in addition to the economic one, which I am so enjoying. A nice little upgrade for my army commander here. Really powerful bonuses, and in fact there's a commendation point that we are able to get, and these are really, really powerful upgrades. Eventually, I think I elect to get the additional command zone, +1 command zone tile, which allows the commander to command from a little bit further away, and also collect experience from a little bit further away. Capture that city in the south, which, quite frankly, I was not interested in holding at all, and I was kind of worried that I would go over my settlement limit, so I elect to raise it. That is a decision which I will come to regret in just a little bit. But hey-ho. I thought, you know what, we'll march towards one of Catherine's other cities, but I'm frankly just so not interested in any of the other ones. I was only interested in that one. Machiavelli, however, is very interested in becoming friendly with me, probably because he sees me smashing up his neighbor to the north, so he wants to make sure that he's secured a little bit of friendship. But little does he know that I love his camels far too much, and I never want to give them up at all. Now, at this point, I'm making over 1,000 gold a turn, which is just an absolutely, I mean, obscene amount of money. I have 41,000 coins in the bank, which is amazing. new civilization unlocked for the next era, which is fine. Accidentally, I say accidentally. It wasn't accidentally. I took another city off Catherine, but I got Jade from it. Jade is another fantastic resource because it gives a gold percentage bonus, which feeds into the whole sort of economic thing that I'm going for. So assigning that to the capital. There we go. Boom. Slam it in there. The capital is looking absolutely marvelous. It's looking huge. It's looking glorious. Now, coming to the end of the era here, this is the crisis. We had two options. We could click Divine Mercy or Divine Punishment. Effectively, click Divine Mercy if you have a lot of your own cities following your own religion. I've not really talked about religion because I have not really messed around with it in this specific run, but basically none of my cities follow my religion, so I was slightly worried that I had completely cream-crackered myself by opening myself up to this sort of this plague front, which you will kind of see in just a second. But you know what? That's not really necessarily a problem. Throw in another bit of jade. We're making about 200 bucks in our capital city alone in just sort of straight gold, which is really, really nice. Economic milestone complete. The treasure fleet complete. We actually continue to make a significant amount of money from the treasure fleet, even after we have fulfilled the objective, which is quite nice. I also did a little integration of that little city-state in the middle there. Was it Tondo? I think it is. Yep, we integrated that into our empire, which is quite nice, and we now have it as a town, which is kind of cool. And it still sends me treasure fleets, which is amazing because I'm able to get money from it, and I'm also able to get all of the resources and all of the stuff that comes associated with running a town, which is pretty darned nice. This is where things start to go a little bit off the rails. As you can see, my capital city is in a state of unrest. There is a special unit, which thankfully I have got plenty of money, over 72,000 at the present moment, over 72,000 gold in the bank, and I'm just constantly buying physicians, which are the units that you need to move onto plague tiles and to sort of disperse the plague. Toledo was a city down here, obviously, not owned by me, but now owned by me. I burnt it down, and then I kind of realized, you know what, that jade, it's probably worth me literally settling a city here just for that jade to send back to the capital in order to get that sort of straight money bonus. I mean, it is just so darn good. Also bought a physician there, just in case the plague decides to spread to the city of Toledo down in the south there. But yeah, managed to mostly keep things plague-free, thanks in part to the fact that I just happen to have an absolutely obscene amount of money. A few more treasure fleets just to spend, and a few more little movements of the boat, and I think that is 100% of the age progress completed. That's the exploration age. I mean, it goes without saying that it is unbelievably challenging to try and condense a full, enjoyable, fantastic, really fun Civilization VII run down into a sort of bite-sized 30-minute video. But I've certainly tried my best to try and get all of the highlights in about the game, all of the sort of bits that I thought made this story kind of fantastic and just kind of wonderful. I am really, really enjoying my time with Civilization VII. I can say that absolutely without a doubt. And Isabella, fantastic character to play. Really, really enjoyed my time with it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, going to wrap it up for now. Thank you very much to Firaxis and 2K for sponsoring this video. Thank you very much for watching. Check out the game, linked down in the description below, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.